right, welcome back everybody to another edition of Dollar Bin Digging. This is the weekly article where I come up kind of with a topic and give you some cheap books that you might be able to find out in those boxes when you're out digging. Just things you might not be thinking about right now. This is the article I do for comicbookinvest.com, and I also do this accompanying video for my channel over on Rennavision. Hopefully you're enjoying both the article and the video. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss any of the content that's dropping on the channel, and make sure you comment and give me your thoughts either on the article or on the video below. I appreciate the feedback on both. So definitely look forward to hearing from you guys on on the picks, some suggestions, books that you're finding out in those boxes. I'd like to hear about those stories too. So please hit me up with comments. I definitely appreciate it. That being said, this week we are going to be tackling What If, because we're getting that What If show pretty soon. So I figured, you know what? Let's think of a couple of What If books. So just hang on for 1 second, and I'll be right back with some What If books for you to be looking for. All right, well, hopefully you guys don't mind the background water theme, but it is Shark Week, and I've been watching a lot of it lately, so I was sticking with the water again. I don't know, I'm trying to play around with the different backgrounds I do on these videos, and for whatever reason, trying to figure out themes and commonality going forward. Tell me what you think if you find this too disturbing, too much motion. That being said, let's get into this week's Dollar Bin books. Now, as I mentioned in the opening, we're going to be looking at Marvel's What If. We know the What If show is coming. It's going to be animated, and it's going to be covering basically stuff from the MCU, like twisted or different takes on the Marvel Universe. I mean, Loki's kind of opened up this idea with different timelines, variants, and all of that. So all of this is opening up for a much grander scale to the Marvel Universe going forward. So we're getting, Captain Britain, that's Peggy Carter, and we're getting, Marvel Zombies, and we're getting, T'Challa as Star-Lord. But it just seems like what they're doing for this show isn't really based on anything from the comics. They basically look like they're just doing tweaks on all of their movie properties, which is fine. I mean, that's fine, all well and good. I just really kind of wish they would have broadened their scope and adapted some of these cooler concepts that they did in the many What Ifs. I mean, they had the volume 1 of What If that hit in the 70s, and they had a volume 2 that ran through most of the 80s. And then you had those one-offs that came after that, where it's not really a continuous series. It's like they're all one-shot what-ifs, which is kind of hard to track. I liked it better when it was an ongoing series. Even if they didn't come out on the regular, I still think a sequential numbering would have benefited. So this way you know to get more. You don't know when they're popping if it's just a one-off. Like, you can miss them. That being said, I want to talk about that original run of What Ifs from the 70s. I know a lot of them are expensive already. Not talking about those. So I'm not suggesting that you're going to find, number 10, the What If Jane Foster had found the hammer of Thor. I know it. You're not going to find that in a dollar bin these days. I get it. And you're also probably not going to find What If Wolverine Killed the Hulk. Also another book that's kind of pricey these days. I think that's more like the $40 range thereabouts. Or so. I mean, absolutely buy it if you find it. It's just, that's probably not the ones you're going to find. Nor is the, What If Spider-Man's Clone Lived, which kind of brings us to the Clone Saga many years later. So this one has also gotten a little pricey over the years, also in that $30, $40 range. Or even this awesome, Hulk cover. I think this is Sienkiewicz that did this, just fantastic cover. And this number 45 from the original What If run also, does a few bucks. It's not too bad, but again, it's known, and that's one of the ones you're probably not going to find while digging. I wanted to show them to you, so if you did find them, know which ones to look out for. But those aren't the ones I'm talking about. I'm talking about a little more, I don't want to say odder. It's just ones you don't. They're not those. They're not the big titles, the big ones that people are already looking for. And the first one I want to bring up is number 7, which is kind of early in the run. And this is What If Someone Else Besides Spider-Man got bitten by the radioactive spider. I mean, we kind of got this with Silk coming, right? I mean, it's not somebody else, but it's someone else too. So it's not a swap, but basically an addition. And we are kind of getting that with Silk, and we're going to get an Amazon show, I believe. So it's kind of interesting that they kind of tackled this subject way back then. But this What If instead is like an anthology of 3 different stories of different people who got bitten instead of Peter Parker. I don't know why they didn't just say Peter Parker instead of Spider-Man, but hey, that's what they went with. And I'm just going to run through the book real fast. It's kind of fun. And this one, Flash Thompson was the one who got bit in this first story. And, you know, they kind of echo like a lot of the beats from the original Spider-Man story. So it's Flash who gets in the ring with Crusher. You know, he becomes like the star, and then he dons a Spider-Man suit. But his is a little different, you know, kind of showing off his hair and all that stuff. But, you know, the story definitely goes differently for him. His fight with the Vulture, he dies like early on, and Peter is still involved in these stories, which they kind of keep that connectivity. And I definitely found that kind of interesting. But yeah, Flash didn't make it as Spider-Man, and you know, Peter finds him. Definitely interesting take. And that was one of the three, you know, stories that they had. And just real quick, just gonna hit up the other one. Betty Brant was another one who got bitten, and I believe she was dating Spider-Man or Peter Parker at the time. So this is a completely different take. I mean, look at this. Of course, they had to, you know, give her more of a sexy outfit, which is kind of weird when you look at this. It just looks like a weird mashup, like Spidey's head and gloves and boots were attached to, you know, Namora or something like that. Definitely weird, but the Amazing Spider-Girl, interesting concept. Again, same story beats. Since she's, you know, dating Peter Parker, she's involved when Uncle Ben gets shot by the burglar. They still let the burglar go by, not because he's too big time to stop the burglar, but because she's out of web fluid, because she was too busy at a fashion shoot or shooting, you know, shooting pictures. But then, you know, she catches up to the burglar, and, you know, story beats play out, and then we quickly get her Spider-Man no more, basically. Interesting. I like the idea that they just kind of echo some of the story beats again from the Peter Parker run, but definitely a different take. And then the last one, might as well go through the last one because, you know, here we are. John Jameson, Jonah's, you know, son, the astronaut. He's the one. Even though he looks like an old man here, I don't know why that was drawn this way, but he you know, gets bitten, hits up the gym. He's seeing all the strength, and of course his dad is like, all right, let's market this, let's put this together, let's get you out there in front of the adoring fans. And instead of running down Spider-Man, he is his biggest champion because it's his son, and he knows, you know, it's his son. But again, tragedy strikes, as none of these stories are going to end up well. And there's Peter again, one taking the pictures and also still involved. So kind of a fun little book just to kind of check out. It's one of those ones, again, that's not one people go hunting for. They'd rather have the clone book because it ties in directly. They're not looking for that one. So you can sometimes scoop one of those up cheap because those what ifs, they're scattered throughout those boxes. It's kind of hard to tell the run, you know, what volume you might be finding. I mean, kind of guess off the, you know, cover prices, I guess. But outside of that, they just kind of all blend into the same because volume 1, you know, ran for, I don't know, close to 50 issues, somewhere in there. And then volume 2 hit over 100. And then, like I said, then they started dropping the numbering, and everything was a number 1. And then I hated that they did that. But moving on, going to our second book. This one I found kind of interesting because it's going to tie into a movie we're going to be getting. And even though they've changed his father, idea is still kind of interesting. So this what if is number 16, is what if Shang-Chi, master of Kung Fu, fought on the side of Fu Manchu, who was his father in the Marvel universe. It wasn't the Mandarin, but now in the MCU, it's the Mandarin, but still that same idea. Dad's a bad guy. What if, you know, Shang-Chi followed him instead of rebelling? Definitely interesting. So again, just hitting up this book real fast. It just kind of tells that same kind of story of, not same kind of story, but that story of, all right, so he's following his father, following instructions. He's doing his part for him. I think he has him go on some mission to retrieve something that helps him bring back these soldiers from the dead that he can go, and it's kind of a crazy story. And again, you can't take the good out of the character. Even though he's following his father, who's a bad guy, you can't take the good out of these good characters because Marvel, you know, wants their heroes to still shine. So he rejects, you know, he rejects his father's, you know, evil plans still again, and goes off on his own to walk the earth alone, like Kane in Kung Fu. That being said, number 16 is another one it's not a big deal, like not a big time book that people are going and digging for. Maybe you can find it for cheap. So this is just an option, something to keep an eye out for when you're flipping through those boxes. You might find it and it's not in great shape, but even just for the read, just scoop this up just to kind of check it out for $1 or $2 because, yeah, it's kind of fun. I mean, 60 cents, so you can kind of tell which volume based off of that because the volume 2 started hitting more of the late 80s, 90s run, so you're getting more in that 75-cent dollar like cover price range for volume 2, as I had mentioned before. But moving on to our third and last book that we're going to cover for this week, and this other what if, it's also kind of interesting. Again, tying again to the Marvel universe as I see it, or MCU, is this what if Doctor Strange had not become Master of the Mystic Arts? Now, my buddy Chris Nelms just did a what if article over on the site on Fisherman's Tales this past Sunday, and he was tying a lot of things into the stories we might be seeing on the show. And I know he had hit up a little bit about Doctor Strange, but in this one, I thought it was kind of interesting because, again, this is hitting up Doctor Strange for, like, what if he didn't go on to become, the master of the mystic arts? What if he just went on and said, all right, I'm cool, and then left? So he did go, he did train, but then he left a happy guy. Like, he just left. He's like, all right, I'm good. My hands are all right. Problems, I'm okay with everything. And then Baron Mordo basically becomes the master of the mystic arts. And then they show like a little bit of a downward spiral for Stephen Strange. I think they mentioned him drinking, and then you can see pills. So he's not having a good go of things. And he turns to Mordo, for help. And then Mordo kind of takes him on an adventure, but he still has that kind of evil quality to him. So you can see here, he ends up attacking Strange, and then Clea jumping in front. And there we go. And Strange vowing revenge against Mordo following that. So again, you can't take the good out of the heroes in the Marvel universe. So even if the story played out differently, Stephen Strange goes back to the Ancient One to train, and there he is, disciple once again, to go on to become master of the mystic arts. So yeah, just fun little stories, fun little things. You could see how things play out differently. This is one they could have kind of adapted into something, for that animated show that they're planning on doing. But I don't know exactly what they're going to do. They're probably mashing him up with another character that I'm just unaware of, like Doctor Strange, Iron Man, or something like that. But that being said, I'm not going to speculate on the show because there's not enough there to really sink my teeth into too much. I just kind of want to be surprised and enjoy that show as it comes. So these are just what if books that I think are cool. Definitely interesting reads, and are books that you should just take a quick look at because they're all pretty cheap. If you go check the eBay prices on these, they're not that expensive, but these are ones that could be, again, just scattered throughout those cheap boxes because they're not the big time ones that I mentioned at the start of the video with the Jane Fosters and the Wolverines. So keep an eye out for them. Now, again, hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you're enjoying this video series as well as all the other videos I got here on Rennavision. Please, again, like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything that's dropping to the channel. I appreciate you all stopping by. Tell a friend, get some friends to subscribe. Let's get that subscriber count up. We're already getting close to 800, and I'll be giving away something once I hit that milestone as well, on my way to 1,000. So every 100, I'm going to do another giveaway. So you want some free books, get some friends to join up so we can get there quicker because I want to give more stuff away and just having fun. And hopefully you're having fun. So please, again, check out all the videos I got here. Hopefully you like the stuff that I'm doing with the Forgotten First, Chasing Ghosts, both Dollar Bin and Cheap Digging articles and videos to do for comicbookinvest.com. The first appearance spotlights that I do with Ben C., the Star Wars comic show that I also do with Ben and Mike, as well as the live shows that we do, the Star Wars show on Sunday, and the totally awesome, coolest show ever that I do every Wednesday with Marco. We're having a lot of fun playing with the format. We're still finding our way, and I think we might have found our process going forward. So check out this past week's show to see what we'll be doing going forward. A little bit of news, a little bit of local comic shop, maybe a little bit of pickups, as well as the fun little segments that we like to do each week. So please go check it out. It's a fun time, and if you can make it live, it's definitely a fun time because the chat is definitely the third guest or the third host on our show because it is definitely lively and it definitely plays a big part in what we do. So thanks again, and I'll see you guys soon.